Fixer family, it's Charmin. Welcome to Fixin' 2. Here's what we're going to need for this project today. We are going to be using, of course, some decals that I have printed on my silhouette. I'm also going to be using these 5-gallon paint stirrers that you can get from Home Depot. Now we're going to be cutting 8 5.5-inch pieces and 8 5-inch pieces, and you can get 3 of both of these from each paint stick, so you will definitely need 2 packs, and I think they're only like $1 a pack if I'm not mistaken. So we're also going to be using these pint stirrers, or pint paint stirrers from also Home Depot. You get 30 in a pack. We're going to be using 6 per pitcher, and we're also doing 4 pitchers. So do the math on that. We're also going to be using our Waverly chalk paint and our Rust-Oleum gel stain, as well as our hot glue gun. So let me give you a little tip here. I didn't do this before, as you can see, but you see that it has these ruler-like markings on the paint stirrers, the big ones. Go ahead and sand them off before you do the cutting. I didn't do that, and so now I'm going to have to sand 8 pieces each of these little sizes. I'm using 150 grit sandpaper from my orbital sander just to do it by hand, much easier than trying to use the big orbital sander. And it comes off relatively easy when you do it, but I really suggest doing it before you cut, believe me. So you can see as easy as it comes off. Another tip is when you're sanding, don't just sand the little markings off. Go ahead and sand the full surface of the piece of wood. That way, when we stain these, you'll get a good coverage. You won't get kind of a wonky coverage by not sanding the entire piece. You'll also see after dusting it off, you can kind of see the difference in what they look like. And so it comes off relatively easy. So we're going to go ahead and do all 8 pieces and move on to the next step. And that next step is staining. Now again, you can go ahead and stain it as a whole piece and then do the cuts and then just stain your little edges that you cut. It's up to you. I did it this way because I had already cut them, of course, but both, works really well. We're going to do the front, the back, and all 4 sides. Now we're going to go ahead, as we set that aside to dry, we're going to go ahead and create the backing to our picture frame here. And you see I'm using also a couple of smaller craft sticks as well, kind of as the support on the back. And I'm just going to take and line up all 6 of my pint paint stirrers. They're big craft sticks to me. But anyway, we're going to line them up, and then I'm just going to cut off the rounded edge to give me a good straight cut. And they cut with a pair of scissors really easy. And I'm going to line it up about halfway in the middle of the first one. And then take a little pencil mark and mark it at halfway between the last one here. And then just cut it off so I get another straight edge. And what this will do is we're going to do 2 of them this way. And this gives us a good support system for this staying together as we put it together as a whole picture. When you'll see how it kind of comes together. Now you'd want to put it about, I guess you can kind of say, 1/3 of the way down, or maybe that's 1/4 of the way down. And you'll see why here in just a minute, but we're going to do the top piece and also do another one across the bottom, kind of bringing it in, like I said, about that 1/3 of a way as well. If this is the first time to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And if you are returning, I'm also glad that you have come back to enjoy these awesome projects, get some tips, tricks, and some ideas for your home decor on a budget. Now, for those of you that have been a part of the Fixer family, I know you have realized that I am not doing 2 videos a week. And I decided that it was just really me not being able to give you quality projects, as well as spending time with my family, being a wife, a mother, and a grandmother, and work a full-time job. So I have scaled back again to my every Friday videos and to be able to bring you the awesome projects that I have planned for you. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, as well as those notification bells so that you're notified each time I upload new videos. So guys, let's go ahead, get back into this awesome project. Now we have set our backing piece aside, and we're going to go ahead now that these are dry, and I did let them dry overnight. So it's much better if you use stain to let them dry overnight so that your hot glue will stick to it. So we're going to go ahead and put our frame together, and I'm taking the 5.5 inch long piece. Now if you have a carpenter square, you can use that. I'm just using another paint stick that gives me a nice square edge, and I'm getting them lined up right here on the edge of it so I know that it's going to be good and straight. Taking my hot glue gun, putting a strip of hot glue right there on the edge, and I'm sorry it is out of frame here. I didn't realize I had taken it out of the camera frame. And then you're just going to stick it up there, holding it and making sure that everything is good and square. And of course you might have a little ooze of your hot glue, just make sure you just kind of get that off, but it comes off pretty easy on there. So then we're going to take and flip it over to where we're going to be doing the other corner. Doing it exactly the same way, taking our 5.5 piece and teeing it up right there on the edge, putting a bead of hot glue and then sticking it to it to make sure that it is good and square. And you can use any little piece of wood or anything that's good, that does have a square corner there, so that you can get those lines lined up very well. Now we're just going to flip it up to where you see the 2 empty sides, I guess you could say, sticking up, and then we have our last 5-inch piece that we're going to glue it to the top here, doing the same thing as far as putting a bead of glue onto the edges there, and then just quickly lining them up, and you just kind of have to move kind of quick because the hot glue will begin to set, and so that you can move it and get it square on that side, and it happens pretty easy. Now we've gotten that together, and I know you see one that's already been put together, but I want to show you how I take the frame here and use it as a template to be able to get our backing the right size. And as you see, I just place it on there, and I take a pencil and I just mark off the box. So, and you can do it without a backing on it, of course. When you first make your box, you can use it to make your marks on the back. Once we get those made, then I'm just using a roller, any kind of a straight edge, and I'm also using a box cutter or utility knife, something that's super sharp. Be very, very careful, take your time, and we're going to score the back side of these craft sticks. And I usually go through it twice. That gives it a really good scoring on the wood. And then we're going to lift it up, and where the score marks is right on the edge, you'll see where you've marked it. I'm going to take a pencil, make a little mark on the edge of it here, and then bring that little mark to the top. And I hope that makes sense. We'll do it on both sides, and the reason that we're going to do that is we're going to flip it over to what I call the front side, and we're going to do another scoring of it. Same thing, I do 2 passes with my utility knife, And guys, once you do that, watch how easily these just snap off. Just kind of work them back and forth and they will come right off. Super straight edge, you know, maybe just a little bit of residue, if you want to call it that, little splinters left over. And you just take a piece of sandpaper and just smooth it out. Now, once you get the top and the bottom done, we're going to do the same thing for the sides. Now, the sides are just a touch different because of the way that these wood craft sticks are made. When you start cutting, it will actually begin to splinter it right down that score line. And it'll come off super easy. And if you have any splinters again, of course, you just take and use your sandpaper to clean it up. Now that we've got them all cut out, we're ready to paint them. And guys, one coat of this does a pretty good coverage, but it just didn't give it the crispness that I wanted. So I do go and I put 2 coats of the Waverly chalk paint on this, letting it, of course, dry in between each coat. And it's just really simple, just painting them, getting them completely covered, and giving them 2 coats. So now we're ready to put our decals on here. And guys, this is also something that's pretty simple. Once you get it cut out, you get it weeded, you get it on your transfer tape, and then we're just going to work on getting it as centered as possible. It may not be right perfect, but of course it is handmade, right? So we're gonna do our best. I will do a little bit of measuring just to try to get it as close as I can to the center of this. Also, doing so also helps when we do attach our frame to the backing. And so I just pull out my little ruler, do the best I can with getting it on there, and then of course using my little tool here to scrape it and get it put down. Now it's time to put it all together. We're going to add our frame to our backing where we put our decal. And guys, this may not be exactly perfect, but what you want to do is just kind of get it on there, fit it to the furthest side or the top, bottom, whatever. You may have a little overhang, but we're going to fix that. And we're just going to take and put hot glue on all 4 edges on the side that you want to be the back. And we'll just do that all the way around and place on your backing, getting it as even as possible. And I do have a bit of an overhang on one side of it here, and it's super easy to fix because you have a straight edge with the frame. You can take your utility knife and push it right up against that and trim off any excess. There was a couple of others that I had some at the top I had to fix. So it is that way because your wood, you know, is not perfect. Even when you put it together as square as possible, you might have a little bit to fix. Now, of course, with the back being that natural color, you see that on the edges, it doesn't quite blend in with the frame. So we want it to blend in a little bit. So I'm going to take a finer paintbrush and a little bit of my stain, and I'm going to go right across the top and down both sides with the stain to help it blend in. Now, I don't do it on the bottom because it's going to be sitting up in my decor. And guys, I am so in love with how these turned out, and of course know that these can be made for any season. For Christmas, you can find all kinds of different decals, and I hope that you guys enjoy them as much as I do. Well guys, I know that this project was a little detailed, but I think that it turned out absolutely amazing, as well as something that you can switch up and put your own decals on. You have the basics, so make it your own. Well guys, I want to wish you an amazing Good Friday, a wonderful Resurrection Sunday, and a happy Easter. And if no one has told you today, you are amazing. And always remember to keep looking up, because that's where it all is. I'll see you on the next video.